Welcome to Business as Usual. I'm Daneen O'Donnell, and today I'm on Main Street at Main Level Games with the owner, Evan Miranda. How are you today?
I'm doing really well. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. And I'm very excited to learn about this new business.
Yeah.
And I admit I'm not a gamer, but I want to know what exactly this store is all about.
Yeah, great question. Well, it's totally fine that you're not a gamer. This place is certainly for everybody, gamers and non-gamers. So Main Level Games is a vintage video game store. We specialize in consoles from the 80s and 90s specifically, but we have everything up to the current generation. And everything to do with video games is happening here. So we have games, systems, accessories, old gaming memorabilia. We buy, sell, trade as well. So we're always getting new inventory. But we really want to make this, my wife and I want to make this a community-driven store. So we want this to be a safe place for kids and families, a helpful place for people getting into the hobby, and an awesome place for collectors that have been a part of the hobby for decades.
You just recently had an open house not long ago, and I heard it was really successful.
It was, yeah. Thanks for mentioning that. So this past Saturday, November the 9th, we had our grand opening at this location, and we had over 500 people attend our grand opening. So the first couple hours, you could like barely walk in here. It was crazy. It was really, really cool. And it's just awesome to see Butler support their local stores, and the community really came out for us. It was awesome.
Well, and I think that's really important. Do you feel like stores like this are helping to really draw unique crowds into Butler?
100%. You know, I grew up in the Butler area, my grandma lived downtown here, and so I was always downtown. And when I was younger, you know, people would always just say like, oh, there just isn't much to do. There's not a lot for the kids. There's not a lot for families, but that has really changed, especially in the past 4 or 5 years, really even through COVID. A lot of young business owners have been opening up businesses, using their passions to create these spaces in the downtown Butler area. And we're seeing a really cool, revitalized downtown Butler, specifically Main Street. So on any given Friday or Saturday especially, we see families up and down Main Street all the time. People go to grab a cup of coffee over at Vintage Coffee. People stop here. There's comic book stores, cool clothing stores, card collecting stores, really just a lot of areas for families and for people to shop in downtown Butler.
Well, they need to come back and visit downtown.
Yeah.
Now, tell me a little bit about how you did become interested in a business like this. Give us your background.
Another great question. So this business really started at a yard sale in 2019 with my wife. So we love going to yard sales, garage sales. We love finding antiques, vintage looking things. And I'd come across a box of video games. I was a big gamer growing up and always had my childhood games and everything. But I found this box of games, and there were a few games in there that I hadn't seen for like 10 years. And I was like, oh, I want to buy these. So I made the purchase at that yard sale, brought them home, and then I was like, let me just find some more games that I haven't seen in 10 years. And so we continuously went to these yard sales and garage sales, and I was finding more and more games. And then the opportunity opened up. A good friend of mine owned a store here on Main Street that he had a little space in the basement. He said, hey, if you ever want to open up a game store, this is a great spot. So decided to do that about a year ago. Opened up that business, it blossomed, and a great community was formed around that store. We needed a lot more space. So this space is about 3 or 4 times the size of our first location. So the business just continued to grow and grow, but it really all started just from that yard sale find.
How do you think what kind of crowds, all ages, do they come in here, young and old?
All ages, all ages. We have, so what's really cool about vintage video games, really video games in general, is because it's been around for 40, 50 years, it's very generational. So I get everything from families where the mom and dad played on the original Nintendo or Atari growing up, and they have their kids, and at this point, almost sometimes grandkids that they bring in that are playing some of the new stuff. I also have a lot of people in their 20s and 30s that are pretty high-end collectors. So that's another aspect of video games that people don't really know, is the collecting aspect. So
tell us about that.
Sure. So a lot of people want to, just like I did, recollect some of the games from their childhood. Yeah. And so once you start collecting, you start to display those games in your house, or you can talk with your friends who are also collecting about your most recent pickups. So the collecting side of things really is for all ages, whether it's kids, but mostly 20 and 30 somethings love to collect the games that they played a decade or so ago.
Yeah.
So it really is all ages here. And that's, like I said, the big mission of this store is to make it a safe place for families and for the community.
Tell us a little more about the buy, sell, trade part of your business.
Sure thing. So the buy, sell, trade aspect of Main Level Games is really how this business continues to exist. So I purchase games from people that bring them in. So if you're looking to trade your old games for new ones, we can work out a trade. I offer cash as well for old video games. And that's really what helps keep the inventory new and fresh so that when gamers come in, they can always see a rotating inventory. But yeah, if anyone has old video games, systems, consoles, accessories at home, and you have no more use for them, Main Level Games is definitely interested.
And how can people find out more about your business?
Great question. So our social medias are really the best way to get to see the behind the scenes and what's going on here at Main Level Games, and the easiest way to contact Main Level Games. So we are on Facebook and Instagram at Main Level Games.
Give people an idea of where you are on Main Street.
Sure thing. So we're at 221 South Main Street here in Butler. So we are heading south somewhat towards the courthouse if you're heading that way. We're right near a couple really great businesses, Miller's Shoes, Vintage Coffee. We're on that block. So awesome part of Main Street for sure.
And what are your hours here?
Great question. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we are 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. Friday, Saturday, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m.
Well, I really appreciate your letting us coming in here to talk to you. And folks, shop local if you're looking to get into gaming or reminisce about things you used to do, or if you're looking for an Xbox toaster, Main Level Games here on Main Street is the place to come. For Armstrong, this has been Daneen O'Donnell with Business as Usual. Thanks for watching this episode of Business as Usual. If you want to see more, just click on the playlist button up here. To keep up to date with all the shows from the Armstrong Neighborhood Channel, you can click on the subscribe button down here. See you next time.